In the past nearly 2 years, I've covered a lot of topics. I think one of the most important aspects of this hobby is variety. I've covered Persona 5 Royal, the Persona 5 manga, Persona 5 Strikers, the Persona 5 manga again, everything you need for a balanced diet. If you were trying to guess what was next on the chopping block, it's what I do after a bottle of rum on a Saturday night. That's right, it's time for Persona 5 gambling. Wait, no, it's Persona 5 dancing in Starlight. Eventually, I'm going to have covered everything Persona 5 has to offer. At this point, it's just a matter of what's next.
You're next, mister, you understand me?
Yes, sir.
Stop him! Get off me! Stop it! Behaviors!
So without further ado, let's dive into one of the 3 Persona dancing spin-off games. Before we move on to the specifics of Persona 5 dancing, I think it's probably best to look at why these games exist in the first place. Back in 2013, ATLUS announced 3 games at a press event, these being Persona 5, Persona Q Shadow of the Labyrinth, and Persona 4 Dancing All Night. Dancing All Night was released in 2015 for the PlayStation Vita. The game was a canon continuation of the Persona 4 story. TLDR, the Persona 4 crew kills a god with the power of dance. The game was received very well. So what do you think happened? Persona 3 and 5 dancing games were pumped out in 2018. These 2 games were actually released on the exact same day, and they were received slightly less well than the previous game. And that's pretty much the entire history of the Persona dancing spin-off games. Time to look at Dancing in Starlight itself. The game begins with the Phantom Thieves waking up in a club, confronted by Caroline and Justine. The twins explain that they're currently in a dream and have been drafted for a dance competition. They want to prove that their guest of the Velvet Room is a more extraordinary individual than the guest of their siblings, these being the protagonists of Persona 3 and 4. Honestly, this story setup isn't terrible. It kind of makes sense within the world of Persona, and it has the potential for some interesting character interactions. But then they decide to ruin it with this.
No matter how much time you spend here, when you wake up, it'll be morning as usual. And all your memories of this place will be erased. So nothing to worry about, right?
One of the best things about the other Persona 5 games is the story. They introduce interesting characters, they grow by overcoming challenges, and you get to watch them develop a dynamic within the group. And the possibility of this game having a somewhat interesting story is thrown away immediately, as all the Phantom Thieves are going to forget their experience when they wake up. And it's actually because of this that Persona fans debate whether the events of this game are even canon to begin with. Disregarding that, the twins tell the Phantom Thieves to practice their dancing skills in preparation for the Grand Ball. And from here, you're pretty much left to your own devices. Now to get onto the main part of the game, the dancing. Dancing in Starlight is a rhythm game. You need to hit certain buttons in time with the music as your character dances on screen. You have to use 3 of the face buttons and 3 of the directional buttons to hit the different types of notes as they appear. You have regular single hit notes, notes you hit using 2 buttons at the same time, double tap notes, and notes that you hold down. They flow towards a ring at the edge of the screen, and once they reach it... And then you have the scratches. These also count as notes, but they don't break your combo if you miss them. And the rainbow scratches enable fever time.
Oh! Michael, call 911!
When you reach a certain point in a song, your dance partner will tag in to take the stage for a short time and boost your score. It's a pretty simple setup. You hit buttons in time with the music. That's it. But I do have my issues with it. First of all, I think this is one of the clunkiest setups for a rhythm game I've ever seen. The notes coming from the center and flowing towards the edges of the screen actively distracts you from the characters who are dancing in the middle. Seeing these characters dance is the whole point of the fucking game. You spend so much time trying to keep track of the notes that you don't even notice that the characters are dancing. You might get a glimpse of it, but as soon as you look away, you run the risk of missing a note and losing your combo. It kind of feels like looking at your phone while driving. You look in the wrong place for just a split second, disaster. Also, don't use your phone and drive, just fucking obvious. Also, I'm fine with having different types of notes to hit. It spices up the gameplay and adds more challenge. And this might be nitpicking on my part, but the sound that plays whenever I hit a scratch makes it sound like I've done something wrong.
Okay.
The rest of the note sounds are fine, but the scratches throw off my rhythm and make me skip a beat. It feels like the game is slapping me on the wrist and saying, "Oi, stop it." And if distracting from the visual side of the game wasn't enough, I'm also distracted from the music because the rest of the Phantom Thieves decide to chime in with comments and encouragement every 5 seconds.
Not bad.
Of course. They have been practicing after all.
Come on, go all out. Follow your heart.
I'm all for characters interacting in the game, but this shit adds absolutely nothing to the experience, and if anything, it actively harms it. On the plus side, the game features a ton of modifiers which can be used to further adjust the game's difficulty outside of just choosing between the difficulty presets in the song list. You can change the speed of notes, have the game automatically hit scratches for you, and even do things like make notes lag or disappear when you have to hit them. The wide range of options means that you can ease yourself into the game or make it the most impossible rhythm game you've ever seen.
Welcome to hell, motherfucker!
Moving on from the core gameplay, the game keeps at least one facet of Persona 5 intact: the socializing. Each of the Phantom Thieves has 8 social links which are unlocked after meeting certain conditions. All of these are pretty simple, like reaching a certain collective combo, scoring brilliant or higher on songs, or equipping a certain number of accessories. Surely these won't be a pain to get through. The social links all feature a conversation with the character either in a group situation or one-on-one, and you get to learn a bit more about the characters, like Haru doing ballet when she was younger, Makoto bonding with the twins over having an older sister, and Anne talking about using the dancing to burn off the calories from sweets.
Did you know dancing burns a ton of calories?
Don't you tell me how many calories I need, bitch!
And once you reach level 6 with your confidants, you're invited to their bedroom so you can look around and learn more about them. I think all of these are exactly what I'd expect from each of the Phantom Thieves, and there are some small details that are kind of fun surprises, like Haru having an axe on a balcony and Makoto being obsessed with a panda mascot. All of this is great. I love learning more about these characters and watching them interact with each other. But the fact that all the characters are going to canonically forget these interactions makes it all feel a bit hollow. And on top of that, the presentation falls flat when compared with the other Persona 5 games. They just have the 3D models on screen which look kind of dead behind the eyes. But fortunately, you can make the characters look less dead inside by dressing them up in outfits and giving them accessories like hats, glasses, and hair dye. While this is just a fun little aesthetic change, I think the developers missed a huge opportunity to make the dances more fun and feel more varied from one another. You know that word in the title of the game? Yeah, maybe include that. What I'm saying is, add the personas to the dances. They're meant to be the manifestation of a person's will to rebel. And if Kevin Bacon has taught me anything, other than EE being the UK's #1 mobile network, it's that dancing is the truest form of rebellion. The personas all have such interesting and varied designs, it would be so cool to see them incorporated into dance routines. Designs like Arsene, Goemon, and Captain Kid would be easy to choreograph, and there's absolutely no way that they wouldn't be able to make something creative involving less humanoid looking personas like Johanna and Milady. And finally, the one thing you really need to dance: the music. Dancing in Starlight features songs sampled from the original Persona 5, along with some remixes by ATLUS themselves and external artists. And the selection of songs here is kind of underwhelming. The song list features 25 total songs, 10 of which are from the original Persona 5, 12 are remixes of these original songs, 2 are original songs for Dancing in Starlight, and the final song is a live performance of Rivers in the Desert from the Persona Super Live P-Sound Bomb 2017 concert. I do have to say that this last inclusion is just really cool. Like, I'd kill a family of 4 to be able to go see these songs performed live. But back to my original point, there isn't a ton of variety in the songs unless you purchase the aggressive amount of DLC, which I refuse to do. I have the Akechi song, but that's just because I got a free code in the box of the game. And by the way, Akechi gets real intense when he's dancing.
What an eyesore!
What? Bro, what are you talking about, man?
The remixes are fine. Honestly, I'm not a huge fan of any of them. But if you like them, more power to you. The lacking song variety comes down to 2 main factors in my opinion: poor timing and greed. Since Dancing in Starlight released in 2018, it only had the original Persona 5 to take songs from. Games like Royal and Strikers hadn't been released yet. The other Persona dancing games had a ton of songs to pull from, like the movies, enhanced versions, and anime series. But looking at their song lists, Persona 3 and 4 dancing didn't make use of these in the base game. And that's because all these tracks were released as downloadable content.
Thanks for the money, idiot!
ATLUS wanted to put as many songs behind a paywall as possible to generate as much revenue as they could. Just a quick side note, I thought that some of the songs literally just being game cutscenes from Persona 5 was kinda lazy. But then they literally just used the fucking credit sequence from the end of Persona 5 as a song. And then they do it again with the credits from this game.
You wanna see me do it again?
Persona 5 Dancing in Starlight is more disappointing than bad. It feels like it was just churned out to take advantage of the success of Persona 5 and the positive reception of Persona 4 Dancing All Night. I think the Persona dancing games could have been implemented more effectively in two possible ways. The first is the more simple. Just include it as a side mode in the expanded parts of the games. Have a side area available in the Velvet Room of Royal and the re-releases of Portable and Golden. Here you'd be able to play the dancing minigame to earn money or points to increase your stats. But my personal favourite of these options, just make one big Persona dancing game. Include songs from all of the Persona games and make it a big crossover event like Persona Q. Have it so that all the characters from across the series need to team up to fight against a common threat using the power of dance. I don't know, it's a 5 out of 10. Persona 5 Dancing should have been a celebration of the series instead of this messy attempt at extracting as much money from fans as possible. But I am still going to play the gacha game when it does come to the West.